Hello YouTube, my name's Al Cooper and this week I'm going to be upgrading my Charvel. So this is a 1987 Charvel Model 2. Yes, it looks very different. It's been heavily modified. When I got it, it was generic Strat shape. It was very heavy. It was very battered. Someone had put a clear pick guard on here that had been cracked. It was a bit of a mess, to be honest. So I got it refinished. You can see videos of that on my channel, not of the refinish, but as it was before and after. This is a Barnacle War Pig as the pickup. Jackson JT6 Floyd. I've hard-held it, which you can't see, which I'll show you in a second. Satin finish now on the back of the neck with a little bit of a Dracula sort of spike, which I quite like. I've kept the stock tuners on. Well, I upgraded them to locking, but that's got another guitar now, so I've got the stock tuners on here. But anyway, back to the point of this video. You'll probably already seen the title. Probably. You clicked on it. You must have done. So, anyway, back to reality. I've always found this guitar a little bit dark. Not really dull. It really resonates and it plays really nicely. But I've always found it a bit dark. So I kind of want to brighten up the guitar. So, if you've seen the videos I've made on my Ibanez Satriani, I upgraded the bridge block to one of these, which is a Futone brass block. There you go. Yes, I've written on it in Sharpie, so I remember which one's which. So I improved the sustain on that guitar, in my opinion, and the tone by popping this on. I've obviously taken it off because I've dismantled the bridge, and I'm going to upgrade it to a normal standard Floyd Rose. At some point, again, that's in the distance. The wiring's buggered on it, so it doesn't matter. So, anyway, I contacted Futone via the internet and went on their website via the internet, and they told me which one I needed, so I ordered this. So it's a brass block for Jackson that I've scrawled on in terrible handwriting. So this is a brass block that I will be replacing the teeny tiny one in here with. So first things first, I'm going to get the arse off it and I'm going to show you the old block. So I'll see you in a second when I've taken these screws off. Okay, so I've taken the back off, and as you can see, I've hard-tailed it with a block of wood, and here is the teeny tiny block on the bridge. So if you compare that to the Futone one, it is significantly thicker. It's about a third thicker by the looks of it, and you'll have to trust me that this is very heavy. It really is, for the little thing that it is. I mean, this Ibanez Edge is very heavy as well. They're about the same. I'd say the Jackson one's probably very slightly heavier, although to be fair, it's not as long, so it might be about weight distribution. But anyway, there you go. It's a hell of a lot smaller than the Futone one. So I'm going to take these old strings off that are beyond dead, to be honest, although they've stayed in tune surprisingly well. I'm going to dismantle the bridge, and then we're going to put the new block on. I'm going to set it up as a different video, because if you know anything about Floyd Roses, you know they're an absolute pain in the arse to set up. I've done videos on setting up Floyd Roses before, so you can go and find those if you like, and there are lots and lots of great videos on YouTube about doing that. But to be honest, if I had to film myself doing it and talk about it, it would just take me a lot longer to do it. So I think it's best that I just do that off camera, and then I can show you what it's like afterwards. I'm not going to do a tone test before, because the strings are old and dead anyway. You can hear what this sounds like. You can hear what this guitar sounds like in previous videos where I've used it. So without further ado, I'm going to take these old strings off, and we're going to take the bridge apart. So let's do that. There we go. The bridge is now fallen to the floor. Obviously, it's, you know, double locking, so tension of the strings is what was pulling it forward, and now it's gone back again. The next thing we're going to do is to slacken off these springs at the back. You can actually see I've put some foam behind the springs to stop any noise. So, but anyway, I'm going to take these springs off now. The way I like to do it is with a screwdriver, sort of like that. Got to hold the bridge in as I turn it round so it doesn't fall out. You can actually see a crack there by one post. It was there before it got refinished. The guy fixed it and also painted over it, but I believe the finish just cracked on the surface. But I don't believe that's any sort of structural problem with this guitar. Do you know what? The guitar feels a hell of a lot lighter now I've got that out. Really does. Wow. So let's put this to one side. And now we're left with the bridge. So I'm going to loosen these screws here. I believe it is. So I haven't done this in a little while. Oh no, silly me. It's these at the back. So if I loosen these, then I'll be able to take the strings out. But I will have to loosen these at the front in order to take the saddles off. I'm going to see if I can just turn them over to the side rather than take them off, because it means I don't really have to set the intonation again, so I can just twist them over to one side so you can get at the screws that hold the base plate on, and then I can replace the bridge, the block, and then I can just move the saddles back. So let's give that a go. Thankfully I've got my multi-tool, so I'm going to find out which tool is right for this particular job. Right first time. Just loosening these just enough to get the string out. When I first got this guitar, these in here, one or two of them were stripped out, so you could tighten it up but you couldn't loosen it, or something like that. I think you could loosen it but not tighten it, I can't remember. But anyway, I had to buy some replacements, so I have some, but just be careful when you're using a Jackson T6 or J6, whatever it is, because yeah, these can strip if you're not careful. So they don't need to be ridiculously tight to hold the string in place. Actually, I really like this bridge. I think it's a pretty solid bridge. And now I've taken this off, I'm thinking when I set it up, I'm going to set it up floating. I'm not going to set it up hardtailed again, because the block in the back fills up the cavity with this block. The wooden block won't fill it up with this Futone block, which is a bit thicker. So I may have to forego the wooden block and just set it up floating. But that doesn't matter, I'm not bothered. So there we go. Next thing to do is to loosen this. Now, on the bottom of this bridge, there are tiny little nuts. That's it called. Yeah, nuts. That's the word. Ugh, sorry, I've got a bit of a cold today, people. My brain's just a bit frazzled. So you've got tiny nuts in the bottom of here that are held in each groove, you can see, and that is what supports this on the top, which holds each saddle in place. So you want to make sure when you loosen this off that you don't lose these. And they are really tiny and really easy to lose, so I'd recommend putting your hand underneath or something whilst loosening these off. Okay, it's moved already because it's sprung. Looks like I'm going to have to set up the bugger all over again anyway. Sod it. That's really annoying. I forgot that these are on springs. That's really annoying. Oh well. Hopefully I won't have to do this again. So I've loosened them up a little bit. I'll have to do it a bit more. I got this guitar second hand, and I think it actually looks like one of these has been replaced because it's a different colour. Ah, there you go. You saw it go. You see? There it is. Saw it. It's absolutely tiny. So I'll put those in a metal tray. I'm going to take the rest of these off, but let's see if I can turn it over to the side. It doesn't look like I can. Doesn't look like I can get at it. Okay. Let me... There's no spacers under any of the saddles. On the Ibanez Edge bridge there are, to account for the radius of the neck of the board. But this doesn't have that. So let me just take the rest of these off, which you don't need to see me do. And then I'll show you how to change the block. So I'll see you in a second. Okay, so I've taken all these screws at the front out. So if I move this out to the side, like that, you can see underneath, maybe you can't, I can see this one of the screws that holds in the bridge block. And it's these screws we have to take out. So I don't think I have to take all the saddles off or move them all out of the way, but one or two of them will have to be moved out of the way. So annoyingly, this will have to come out, I believe. Come on. There we go. So this is B. Not that it really matters because they're not even staggered. This is the half from the other side. And you can see one of the screws underneath. And the other one should be under the D string. Yeah. It's the same here. Getting a bit of oil on my hands. It shows the bridge has been oiled. I don't remember doing it, but apparently I did. That's a good thing. It will stop any of the bits rusting. There we go. So the back of this one's come off. The other one should be, you go, under the A. So the A will have to come off also. Make sure I don't lose this metal block off the top as well. Okay. Oh, these are hex screw. I did not expect them to be hex screw. That's quite interesting. Come on. Just move the G string out of the way to get this middle one out. The bridge is starting to move, and the block's starting to move now. Come on. There we go. And this has come off as well, of course. You know, in hindsight, I probably should have filmed this at a table, but at least there's some light by the window. So this is the old block. New block. See the difference? So let's pop the new block on in place of the old one. So I put one of these screws through the centre. I can line it all up. So this springing plate goes on next, and then the block. I'm going to put it, let's think, a little bit offset, so I want these a bit closer to the edge, I think. So if I do it that way around, it's not going to make a lot of difference, to be honest. Little bits of the bridge are falling apart, but that's fine. Oh, shit on it. Just to get it started, come on. Right, got it started. I think there's no way of doing this that isn't fiddly as hell, to be perfectly honest with you. But at least this way I can twist things out of the way to get everything to line up. Lovely. What we're doing. My brain's clearly not working today. There we go. Right, 2 of them in, so the last one's a piece of pie. And I have all the little blocks and that clearly didn't want to stay in. Make sure these are hand tight, but not overly ridiculously tight so that something might get damaged. And there you go, that's the block on. So now I've got to put the saddles back on. These blocks, by the way, are held in to the saddles, like so. So put it back in there, and then I'll do this up. Not that one, I'll do the other one. The thing about bloody multi-tool is if you need to swap from one to another, it's damn fiddly. And also the hinges can get a bit rusty. But they are stainless steel tools. There we go, that's been held in. Right, so we're on the way now. This one is the B. D. Again, not that it matters, it's just this is where they came from. May as well put them back in the same spot. And it's not, there you go, it's not with these screws in, it's not intonated yet, it's not set up, but there it is with the new block as opposed to the teeny tiny old block. Look around. So that's a case of moving these forwards and back with the little grub screws in that back in to get the intonation roughly right. Basically you put all the screws back in, install it on the guitar, then you loosen these just so you can move these forward and back, and then you move it forward, tighten it, and then check the intonation and move it back again or whatever you need to do, and there you go, it's intonated. So that's how you change the bridge block on a Jackson bridge. This is a Futone one, and it does in fact fit. Now with the Ibanez one I did have a problem because this doesn't have a hole in for the trem arm to go into, and in the Ibanez Edge series, at least the one I have in my JS100 I think it is, yeah, JS100, you can't really use the arm with it because the arm goes straight through, down and into the bridge block, whereas this isn't like that, it's got its own little cavity, little hole, so I don't have the same issue with this. But there you go, that's how you change the bridge block on a Jackson Floyd. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Al. Like, subscribe, all that nonsense, and hopefully I'd have got this all set up and all lovely and playing lovely, and I can show you how it sounds next time. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you then. Until then, bye-bye.
Bye!